Hey, what's up guys, it's Oakley, and I'm playing here with Indypride. We have two Imperial armies. He is going to be the Tosa, I'm going to be Satsuma, and we're going to be pushing forward, and we're going to put this on slow motion. We did a survival battle with just he and I against 4 full AI armies in the traditional army composition, so you can see them moving forward with tons of forces swarming across the river, lots of samurai and levy forces pushing ahead. And so we'll go over our composition real quick, but I just want to show you the sheer numbers that are going to be coming at us. This is the full might of the, oh my god, samurai force, and they have already started to take a beating. So yeah, that fire is going to be incoming from our hilltop position. This is the ultimate fallback point, where I have 2 Gatling guns deployed. I also have another Armstrong gun reinforced with the Gatling gun. Up through the center, I have 3 more Gatling gun positions. And holding that up is going to be some line infantry and other units, Imperial Guard cavalry as well. Indypride has also spread out his forces. He has an Armstrong gun that's going to be firing out at the enemy's lines, getting the early shots, 2 of them actually, and then he has some rear positions, his general back here, and also pulling some more Gatlings to the final position. The enemy is going to start to test us. So we can press play and just see what happens as you start to get out over the battlefield. So the first couple Gatling guns are going to start to open fire and pepper. Samurai aren't dissuaded from this, but just as they crest the top of the hill, you're going to start to see fire from all of the batteries going to open up, and this is where you get to see the overwhelming amount of firepower that we have on the hill. They're going to move up a little closer, and yeah, get the punishing fire from even more ranks. So now we're just warming up. Oh my god, look at that. So you can see the sheer amount of devastating firepower we can bring to bear. Question is, does the enemy have enough manpower to just clog the barrels of our guns with their bodies? And we'll see. I mean, it's 4 full armies. So we beat back the first Yariki. The rest of the army is moving forward rather tentatively, taking a lot of preliminary fire from our Armstrongs, which are raking in the kills. And Indy's going to decide to hold a bit closer to the river here with his Imperial Guard infantry. Lots of these guys, great stats on them. Great firing rate, and he's pulled up actually with a Gatling gun to deploy it over in this position as well. So he's going to decide to hold in the frigid banks, and meanwhile I did not have that same luxury because the river is further from my deployment and the enemy is all over it. I also have 2 units up front, a Boki and an Imperial Guard Cav. Imperial Guard Cav have carbines, I believe, and so they're going to be positioned here just to get some early shots on the enemy, bait the AI, and try and force out some dumb moves from them. And if need to, kind of pull them around like little, dangle little toys in front of the AI so it chases the cavalry and lets us get in some free shots. We can watch this engagement because I believe this is going to be the first one to get underway. Indy better unlimber these Gatling guys, and it looks like they actually have started to do so. And now he's going to start to fire into the enemy ranks. Although Spear Levy are going to be the first to engage. A wise choice from the AI. So we're going to be wasting a lot of our preliminary fire on those cheap-ass troops. And now the enemy shows a bit of indecision, and it's going to swivel everything over to my side, I guess, deciding that this is going to be the time to commit 3 forces versus 1. A little bit of a cheapskate. But take a look at the murderous fire. Oh my god, that is freaking insane. It looks like we're firing from a battleship in Battlestar Galactica. Just all guns blazing. And yeah, where do we want to watch this from? Maybe from the top ranks here. So many Gatling guns. This is a World War I type scenario. So we've got a nice beaten zone up front. Meanwhile, Indy's continuing to hold, but the second force is going to come and move in. The blue force is swiveling around to push forward here. And look at this. The killing fields are taking place on the enemy's right-hand flank, where they're going to charge our hilltop position, but as they get closer, that means more infantry can start to unload. And plus, the cavalry on this flank also going to be helping out Yariki and the gun cav. Let's go ahead and watch the density of the enemy position here. Going to be taking lots of fire from multiple ranks. Look at those shots of whizzing overhead from everything. The Gatling guns may miss, but everything they miss is going to go ahead and hit something behind the primary target. Look at this. Those trees are going to be lit on fire. The enemy's soon going to close. And also on this side, we can watch as the engagement gets underway. There's going to be a ballsy charge from the cavalry that's going to seek to break Indy's lines just as he's reloading. He does have Neil fire to get more volleys off, and look at the murders. But like I said, The enemy just has so many numbers that they can just charge right on through. So the cavalry does enough to disrupt on both flanks a big charge. That's going to open up the infantry to assault, and we don't really have the firepower to keep them at bay at this point. Yes, we can clip the first couple ranks, but more are inbound. Let's go ahead and watch the other formation here. The enemy is meeting us at point blank range, but at the hilltop, with the enfilading fire that we're able to get on here, we're able to destroy the main ranks. Yes, they're getting tied up into the Gatling guns, but the supporting fire of that hilltop position is going to be too much, and it's going to see out these samurai. So huge swaths of the enemy is going to be beaten back. They get a little bit more of a break over here in the woods, but not too much. Just the covering fire allowing them to make that much more of an advance, but this is a bloody massacre. The high tide has reached our forces on this front, and look at the amount of smoke. That is crazy. So let's go back to slow-mo. So as you can see, we've broken the entire first army that's come after us, but as we saw previously, the enemy swiveled over the additional blue force. So that means there's 2 more fresh armies coming after us. Yes, the Nagaoka has been destroyed, but they have friendly forces, Aizu and other forces coming in. The force in this woodland scrubland was beaten back, but they took a pretty significant chunk out of our Tosa troops, bringing them almost down to half strength. Gatling guns are still firing, but they're going to start running out of ammo, so this is where you start to wonder as you're eating through your ammo belts if you can even hold. Meanwhile, the scrum on this side, the enemy has closed in. Gatling guns on our side are going to try and fire into this blob, but Indy just got engaged way too quickly. And in this type of combat, when the guns are not firing, obviously the skill in close quarter combat is going to reign supreme when it comes to the samurai. He's been able to disengage with a couple of his units, but they're going to be continuously tied down by more forces chasing after him. So now it's going to be a general retreat back to the top hill. The guns are very much still alive, and we have a no-go area here. Everything just getting shot up. No one is allowed to pass, although the blue forces here are going to question that very much. Here comes the second wave, charging forward to replace their kinsmen. The ranks have held over at this other little hill, but the Gatling guns on the top have been cut in half by the samurai, and now the rest of their forces are going to be charging down. This is insane. On this flank, we've been able to turn the enemy's side a little bit, and this should be a bit of an advantage, give us a bit of a reprieve, but some spearmen are getting into my bow kachi, so I'm going to have to pull them out. But here comes the enemy engaging with our center line. We have reloaded. It's going to be about time that we fire to try and break these cheap units. So that's going to happen, but not before they overrun the Gatling guns. You can see the cannons here completely taken out, and now here comes the second ranks. More of my Gatling guns are going to be retreating, so my entire force on this flank has been overrun. Light infantry going to try and hold, and now it's down to the last remaining positions up top. My guys here, the Gatling guns, have run out of ammo. They're going to commit into melee to try and hold that force back, but here comes the Infanterie de Marine with excellent firing power, range, and accuracy. The Gatling gun on this front is still alive. You can see here it ate through a cavalry force that tried to attack. More forces are going to be coming in point blank. You know, the enemy general there, I believe, trying to charge desperately into my forces, but getting destroyed, and it looks like this spear levy is just going to get into range, but it should shatter upon impact. Yeah, there you go. So we're holding just barely. Indy going to be pulling back with his Imperial infantry. On this side, his entire force has been consumed. I think he was able to pull back with maybe 1 or 2 forces. The rear Gatling troops and organ guns are still alive. But what are they going to make of this mess? They quickly have to reload. I think it's only going to be 1 extra shot off here. Indy should also switch over to shrapnel mode to try and get more devastating blows. Let's see. Oh my god, that one just exploded that guy into a blood volcano. But yeah, all that just traded against a Shogatai, whereas the main force is still coming on strong. Infanterie de Marine continuing to hold back. The enemy reaching their high water mark, finally clearing the woods. But, oh, even that, yeah, they're broken. So we've got a nice stronghold here, but more troops are going to be jogging to position. So that's going to be overrun. Over here, I've had to do a bit of a hit-and-run ambush style strategy. A Fabian strategy, I guess you could say, of just delaying and denying battle on this side with my cavalry, but the enemy is still closing forward. I've tried to delay them as much as I can, but nonetheless they've overrun our position entirely. They're going to start charging forward. Now they're dealing with our infantry marine and other forces, going to be closing on Indy. He's pulling back with his Royal Marines, but the enemy general and cavalry is circling about, 2 generals actually. So things are not looking good for us. Looks like the Imperial forces are going to be overrun, dying to the last man up on the hill. Going to try and hold out. Some more carbine cav firing into this, but the enemy is all around us. Gatling gun's still here, but I think this guy's out of ammo. And now all of our troops are held firm. Held in place. I did bring in some of my cav. The enemy was starting to rout, so I was hoping I could get a general collapse on this side and circle around, especially with the enemy general on this flank. You can see my own cavalry was just beside them over here trying to get some cheap shots, but this general is surrounded with his retainers and he's going to see me off, and with that they're going to claim the hill, and that is going to be it for our forces. Everyone is in a general retreat, and there goes the great Imperial force, defeated by, I guess, the greater Samurai force. So that was a really epic fight. I hope you guys enjoyed. I know there wasn't too much strategy to it, but there is something to be said about the pure cinematics of it, and I know it was definitely fun for Indy and myself to play. These survival type battles are way more fun, especially more so than the ones you traditionally see people do in Rome 2 or Attila, where it's just infantry mashing against each other. At least in this one, in survival, there's range combat to be had, which makes it that much more exciting, I think. And it's just not just a blob. Shogun 2 has a good, interesting pace to it. So that's it for this battle. Let's go ahead and end the replay and take a look at some of the stats, see how many kills we were able to rake up. I believe the enemy had like 12k forces here at the end. I guess we'll end up seeing Indy and myself ended up, I believe, playing with ultra unit size, ultra fun. So the yeah, like I said, the unit counts are going to be absolutely freaking huge. So yeah, how many of the enemy? Yep. So they almost have 4,000 apiece, so it's almost 16,000 between them. So 16,000 against myself and Indy, 4,000, and we got tremendous amount of kills. But the enemy actually picking up some pretty good slack here. Most of them ended up dying. CPU number 3 took the brunt of the assault, and then the other forces were able to come in and clean up. Indy getting a bit more kills than myself, 50 more, so pretty evenly on both of our sides, although I deployed fewer forces, most of that being due to the Gatling guns. And yeah, let's see actually unit by unit who did the most. So on my side, it looks like Imperial Guard Cav with 303, Armstrong guns with 322, the Gatling guns all with upper 200s, some in the low 200s. Infantry Marine really cleaning up with 469 and 375. Just freaking absurd. Boki even with 133, that's not something you'd expect, although most of that was against levy troops, so not too much to be said about them. Moving over to Indy's forces, his general did well, a lot of 200s and 300s. Gatling guns did okay, although one of them got really suppressed. I believe this is the one that was tried to be advanced deployed over on the to cover the river, which was a good move, but it ended up not having the best line of fire, and the enemy charged in with cav and precipitated that action much quicker than anticipated, so that was kind of what slowed him down. More Armstrongs with 425. I mean, it's almost impossible not to have these guns pay for themselves, especially in this type of scenario. And his Imperial Guard still doing really good, but the fact that they were caught up in melee in the river was really not what we wanted to have happen. On the other force, you can see the enemy here. Yeah, most of their kills going to be the few Katana Kachi that got into combat, the rest being very much fodder forces. The police force with 113, pretty impressive. This army was a waste. This one, oh my god, this one, yeah, absolutely shattered. That was the first one into the fight, I believe. Oh no, CPU 3 and 4. And 5, also not getting too much, but the Katana Kachi with 275. So yeah, those were the guys who claimed the hill. So that's it for this battle. Hope you guys enjoyed, and let me know if you do enjoy these survival fights. I know there's not that much strategy to it, but I do think it's a fun spectacle, and I definitely had fun with Indy. Maybe you have other suggestions that we could do in Shogun 2 or other titles. Maybe you want something in Warhammer or Napoleon or what have you. So just let us know, and we'll try to cater in that. Anyways, that's been it. Hope you guys enjoyed, and definitely check out my other videos. I hope this weekend that I'll be having the next Moments episode out, and it is about the Mongol invasions of Japan and the kamikazes that threw them back. So yeah, stay tuned for that. See you in the next one. Peace out.